What if everything you were taught about death wasn't the full truth? What if behind the comforting stories of the afterlife, there hides something far deeper and far more unsettling? What if death doesn't free you, but recycles you? Most people never dare to ask these questions. They follow the path that's been laid out for them, believing they're walking toward peace and paradise, when in reality, they might be stepping straight into the oldest trap in the cosmos. The ancient Gnostics whispered about this long ago. They said the world we live in wasn't created by a loving God, but by an impostor, a false architect, a ruler who claimed divinity but lacked true wisdom. They called him the Demiurge. And according to their teachings, this being designed an endless wheel of birth and death, a reincarnation system that pulls souls back into a manufactured reality again and again. But here is the question no one ever asks. If the afterlife is a trap, then what really happens when you die? And more importantly, how do you escape it? This isn't the kind of knowledge you'll hear in a Sunday sermon or in a glossy self-help book. It isn't the love and light fantasy of the New Age movement. This is the knowledge that was buried, burned, and branded heresy, because if too many souls remembered it, the prison would crumble. In this video, we'll explore how the Gnostics understood death not as a doorway to freedom, but as the moment where the soul is most vulnerable to capture. You'll see why they believed reincarnation isn't the path of spiritual progress we've been told, but the very mechanism of the trap, and the hidden signs that reveal when you're being lured back into it. Most people will never hear this. Most will keep walking toward the light, never questioning who built it or why. Perhaps the prison of the Demiurge isn't limited to physical life at all, but stretches beyond death itself, a hall of mirrors, tricking the soul into returning again and again, lifetime after lifetime. What if death isn't the end, and isn't the beginning, but the greatest illusion ever designed? Because the truth you're about to hear won't just change how you see death. It may hand you the very keys to escape the prison that has held humanity since the beginning. Long before modern religions took form, the ancient world pulsed with rumors of hidden realms, rival gods, and forbidden knowledge. Among those whispers, one message rose above the rest, a warning unlike anything humanity had ever heard. In the remote desert caves of Nag Hammadi, Egypt, sealed away for nearly 2,000 years until their discovery in 1945, lay manuscripts that shattered the comfortable stories preached by priests and emperors. These were the Gnostic texts, fragments of a spiritual tradition that dared to declare, "The world you see is not the true creation of the real God." The Gnostics spoke of a higher, infinite realm called the Pleroma, a domain of pure light and consciousness. From this fullness emerged Sophia, the embodiment of divine wisdom. But in her yearning to create on her own, driven by curiosity and a desire to manifest, she accidentally birthed a flawed being. The Demiurge. Ignorant of the realms above him, unable to perceive the true source, the Demiurge believed he himself was the only God. In his arrogance, he fashioned the physical universe, not as an act of love, but as a throne, a glittering prison of matter. Around him he created Archons, cosmic wardens who rule the planets, the stars, and the cycles of human life. And here lies the heart of the Gnostic warning. The soul was never meant to endlessly cycle through life and death. True existence belongs in the eternal realms of light, not in this shadow world of matter. But the Demiurge's system recycles the soul, trapping it in repeated lives so that it never returns to the pleroma, the realm of origin, the realm of truth. Every lifetime, every rebirth, every memory erased, strengthens the system. This belief was radical. In nearly every ancient religion, from the pagan cults of Rome to the rising Christian church, death was framed as the doorway to reward or punishment. But the Gnostics dared to say something far more unsettling. Death itself can be the trap. And they weren't alone. Echoes of this warning appear across history. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes dazzling lights and illusions after death designed to lure souls back into rebirth. The early Christian mystic Origen openly pondered cycles of embodiment and pre-existence, teachings later condemned as heresy and erased from doctrine. Why such urgency to bury these ideas? Why such eagerness to destroy every trace of them? Because nothing controls humanity more deeply than the fear of death. A soul terrified of death is a soul easy to shepherd. A soul convinced it must return to learn lessons is a soul that will never rebel. But a soul that remembers it was never meant to be trapped, that it originated in a realm beyond the Demiurge, is dangerous. Dangerous not just to earthly rulers, but to the false ruler of this cosmos itself. The Gnostics saw themselves as exiles, wanderers in a counterfeit creation, carrying within them a spark from the forgotten source. Their purpose was not to perfect the cycle, but to break it, and their writings contain instructions, cryptic, yes, but unmistakable, for how the awakened soul can navigate death without falling into the luminous snares of the Demiurge. Which leads to the next question. If the afterlife is part of the trap, what does the trap look like? What exactly happens when the soul leaves the body? What mechanisms draw it back into the wheel of rebirth? Because once we understand the trap, we can understand how to escape it. When the final breath leaves your body, when the weight of flesh disappears, when pain, gravity, and time fall away, something extraordinary happens. You are free. For a moment, you float in a vast and luminous expanse, more real than anything you ever experienced on Earth. And then, almost immediately, the light appears, radiant, warm, irresistible. It pulls you closer, as if it knows you. Loved ones seem to emerge from it, smiling, calling your name. A wave of comfort washes over you. And with absolute certainty, you think, this is heaven, this is home. But the Gnostics would interrupt that moment with a warning. Be careful, soul. Not everything that shines is light. According to their teachings, the so-called tunnel of light is often the first doorway of the trap, a luminous snare constructed by the Archons to recycle the soul back into physical incarnation. The comforting voices, the familiar faces, may not be your ancestors at all, but projections, illusions designed to stop you from questioning where you truly are. The Gnostic texts never used the modern phrase reincarnation trap, but they described the same danger with chilling precision. A soul that is deceived after death is captured and cast back into a new body. Why? Because the Demiurge's system feeds on return. Every time you reincarnate, you forget who you really are. You forget your origin in the pleroma. You forget the truth. And while you struggle through fear, desire, pain, attachment, and distraction, the Archons tighten their grip. In today's language, that is exactly what many call the reincarnation wheel. Think of it like a cosmic hypnosis. The moment you die, you briefly awaken. But then the system sings you back to sleep. The memories fade, the spark dims, the cycle begins again. The Gnostic scriptures described this using metaphors and symbols. The hypostasis of the Archons warns of rulers who bind humanity in forgetfulness. The Apocryphon of John details how the Demiurge surrounded the soul with layers of deception to hold it in matter. The Pistis Sophia hints at the perilous journey of the soul through realms of false judgment and false lights. And yet one question remains. Why is the false light so irresistible? Why do souls return so willingly? Because the trap doesn't appeal to logic. It appeals to longing. The longing to be safe, the longing to be loved, the longing to belong. What stronger bait could there be than the faces of those you cherished in life? What more powerful tether than the promise of reunion? But the Gnostics insisted, there is a difference between the false light and the true light. The false light dazzles, it pulls, it demands. The true light awakens, it liberates, it remembers. The true radiance of the pleroma, the light of the aeons, cannot be imitated, and to recognize it is the key to freedom. But here lies the deeper riddle. If the first part of the illusion is seduction, what comes next? If the tunnel of light pulls you in, how does the system bind you to reincarnation? What forces decide your fate? What role do karma, judgment, and life review really play? Because the next phase of the trap is not comfort. It is entanglement. If the first phase of the trap is seduction, the false light, the reunion, the comfort, then the second phase is entanglement. The Gnostics taught that after death, the soul does not simply drift freely through eternity. Instead, it encounters powers, the Archons, who function as gatekeepers. These forces question, judge, and measure the soul, but not to guide it toward enlightenment, rather to bind it even more tightly to the cycle of matter. You've heard the phrase, life review. Thousands of near-death testimonies describe seeing their entire life replayed before them, every emotion, every choice, every regret, and being told they need to return and learn more lessons. But there is a hidden question no one ever asks. Who is conducting this review? The Gnostics would answer clearly. This judgment does not come from the true source, but from the counterfeit rulers of this world. The system reinforces guilt, not enlightenment, guilt. Because a soul that believes it has unfinished business, unresolved karma, or lessons left to learn, will return willingly. Judgment, even when it seems to come from within, can still be part of the illusion. And here lies the genius of the trap. The soul convinces itself that it must return. Think of it as a cosmic courtroom where the judge, the jury, and the prosecutor are all part of the same system. You are persuaded that you failed. You are sentenced to reincarnation and told it is for your own growth, when in truth, it is for their dominion. And what about karma? In the Gnostic perspective, karma is not divine justice, but programming, energetic weights and threads that pull the soul back into density. Every action creates echoes, yes, but the system is designed to entangle you in those echoes so that you keep orbiting the same cycle. It appears to be a school, but in truth, it is a cage. Here the Gnostics diverged sharply from the traditions around them. Where Hinduism and Buddhism said reincarnation leads to eventual enlightenment, the Gnostics turned the message upside down. Reincarnation is not the path, it is the problem. Liberation doesn't come from perfecting the game, but from refusing to play it. This is why their texts describe passwords, seals, and names of authority, not to flatter the ego, but to remind the awakened soul of its true origin. The first apocalypse of James even describes how the soul, when confronted by the Archons, must not tremble but declare, "I am of the realm of light, and you have no power over me." According to the Gnostics, the Archons can only bind the soul that forgets. They can only judge the soul that believes it is separate from the source. They can only recycle the soul that identifies with its earthly story. The more you believe, "I am this body, this personality, this life," the easier it is to be returned. But the more you remember, "I am the spark from beyond the stars," the illusion begins to dissolve. Déjà vu. The sensation that life is repeating. Dreams that feel like memories. Moments where reality glitches and loops. The Gnostics would say these are not accidents, but ripples of the wheel itself. Which leads us to the most important question of all. Understanding the trap is only half the journey. How does the awakened soul escape it? How do you navigate the moment of death without being pulled back into the wheel? The next chapter contains the most guarded Gnostic teaching of all. If the reincarnation system is real, if death itself is the threshold of a cosmic trap, then the question becomes urgent. How does the awakened soul escape it? The Gnostics never revealed this knowledge to frighten people. They revealed it to prepare them. Their teachings were not philosophy. They were a map for those who dared to awaken in a world of sleep. And the first step is not something that happens at death. It happens now. It begins with remembering. Ask yourself, who am I beyond this body? Beyond this name? Beyond this personality, history, and identity? Each time you peel back a layer, the grip of the system weakens. Because the Demiurge can only bind what identifies with form. It can only ensnare the self that vibrates at its frequency. The self that clings to fear, desire, labels, and unresolved longing. This is why the Gnostics placed such emphasis on gnosis, not belief, not faith, but direct inner knowing. Meditation, prayer, stillness, contemplation. These were not rituals for comfort. They were training for the soul. When you learn to hold presence in the now, you become harder to deceive later. Here's a practice they implied. Close your eyes. Imagine the tunnel of light before you. Feel its pull. Hear familiar voices calling. Then ask, is this true light or projection? Feel the difference, not intellectually, but intuitively. The false light dazzles and demands. The true light remembers and liberates. Every time you practice this inner discernment, you plant a memory deep within your being, one that may awaken when the moment of death arrives. The Gnostics also spoke of passwords and seals, but not as magic words. They were symbols of recognition. Recognition that you are not a subject of the Demiurge. Recognition that you belong to the Pleroma eternally. Recognition that the spark within you is older than the cosmos of matter. Hold that truth at death, and the false light loses its power. So live now as if you are already beyond the trap. Detach from fear. Detach from the endless search for external validation. Detach from the illusion that this world has the power to complete you. Because what you fear chains you, and what you crave chains you. When you begin to see through earthly illusions, the illusion of status, the illusion of possession, the illusion of approval, something shifts. You stop fearing death. You stop craving reincarnation. You begin to taste freedom even while alive. The Gnostic path is not an escape through despair, but through clarity. Every moment of presence is a crack in the cage. Every moment of remembrance is a step beyond the wheel. So carry this question with you, not once, but always. If the false light appeared before me, would I recognize it? Would I walk into it? Or would I look beyond it? Do not answer quickly. Let the question move through your life. Let it change how you see, how you choose, how you live. Because liberation doesn't begin at death. Liberation begins now, in awareness, and as you remember, the trap weakens. But this leaves one final mystery, not about theory, not about history, but about choice. Because in the end, the moment of death doesn't test knowledge, it tests identity. For centuries, humanity has been taught a simple story. When you die, you go to heaven or hell, reward or punishment, salvation or damnation. But the Gnostics revealed a truth far more liberating and far more unsettling. Both are illusions if they lead the soul back into reincarnation. Across this journey, we've traced their forbidden teachings, from the secret texts hidden in desert caves to the whispered warnings of mystics who refused to bow to the rulers of this world. We've uncovered the false light, the cosmic judgment, the wheel of karma, the architecture of memory and forgetting, and the path of inner remembrance that shatters the cycle. But the Gnostics were clear about one thing. No one can escape the cycle for you. No priest, no guru, no belief system, no ritual. The only force that can break the reincarnation trap is your own awakened recognition. Because the question that truly matters is not what happens after death, but who will you be when death arrives? Will you follow the comforting voices without hesitation? Or will you pause, even for a moment, and remember? Will you walk into the light that dazzles, or look beyond it for the radiance that awakens? Because freedom is not won by force. Freedom is won by awareness. Perhaps the way you live now, the choices you make, the fears you confront, the attachments you break, the presence you cultivate, all determine whether your soul will be deceived when the moment comes. The soul that forgets returns. The soul that remembers is free. And maybe, just maybe, this has always been the greatest secret. The prison was never stronger than your attention. What you fear gives power to the system. What you desire binds you to the system. But what you see through collapses the system. So as you leave this video, carry this thought with you. Death is not the end. Death is not the beginning. Death is the test. And the key to passing it has always been within you. To remember is to awaken. To forget is to return again. If this message resonated with you, share your reflections in the comments. What do you believe lies beyond the veil? And if you found value in today's exploration, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Gnostic Eye for more deep dives into hidden wisdom every week. Stay awake, stay aware, and ask yourself, when the light appears, will you remember? For what comes after the grave is not the end of the journey, but the moment the soul must choose.